we're started. Okay, can I have everybody up here with me? Thank you. Okay, so we're getting started. I'm going to do just a little intro about the next part of the spider diagram that we're doing. So we're moving out of creativity and we're moving into the next one, which is changing and learning, which is just about ourselves as people who do change and learn. Over to Andrew, and he's going to take it from there. So I wanted to do just a little bit of an intro. You know, when we did those spider diagrams, you got your data back to, you know, that looks like where are you really strong, where are those places where, you know, you got a lot of power, and then those places where maybe there's some room to strengthen that, right? So it's going to help you in your learning. So I wanted to show you some comparisons. So this was a group of people who've already graduated from college in the changing and learning piece, right? So if you look at this, in the 80, 90, and 100% range, when you think about the spider diagram, right, that means almost out there at the edge. So are these people really strong at changing and learning, or is that something they need to get stronger at? What? Yeah, they're strong, right? So, but that makes sense. They've been through college. They've been through life. They got to change. They've learned, so they got better at that, right? So let's look at, you know, that makes a lot of sense. So then these are hours, right? So you can see a little bit different. It's not bad. We're not way down here, right? So that's not bad. We're a little bit more than, but we got a big spot here that we want to kind of shift this way, right? Because if we can shift this way, that just means you're stronger, right? And your ability to learn and change over time, right? So we got some ways to go. That's not a bad thing, right? That's why we're thinking about this and we're trying to make some changes, right? So here's the spider diagram for one of those college grads. Look at that. That dirty dog all the way out there, right? But that's all right. And some of you guys are already there, right? On your diagram. Some people are already pushing out, which is awesome. And then here's a typical one. You know, this is typical for first semester freshmen all around the world, right? So we got some ways to go, right? So in changing and learning, and resilience and creativity, right? So this is typical. So we have some room to grow, right? Which is why we're thinking about it, and we're trying to get you resources to help you do that, right? That's what this is all about. So I just want to do a little intro about what this one's about. And on your one handout, you have this, right? So it's this guy. So it's really just, you know, what's changing and learning, what's it about. I'm going to do it really quickly. So it's this sense of yourself as somebody who is able to learn and change over time, right? That you've come a long way in yourselves as learners. And when I look at your reflections, people in here are already saying, I'm not the same person I was 6 weeks ago, right? Now I already know how to be successful in studying. So you've already started to change a lot, which is great. So I had a hunch that if we did those surveys again, already your changing and learning would be further out on that spider diagram. You've come a long way, and that you have the sense that you can go places, right? The opposite of that one was people, and sometimes this is old people, right? Like who've done things the same way all their lives. And they say, I can't change. That's just the way I do things. But I've heard people here say the same thing. This is the way I learn. You can't say that at 18 years old, 19 years old, right? You can't say that yet. You're not done. You don't know everything there is to know about yourself. So you want to challenge yourself not to say that, to say, what else can I learn about myself? So typical behaviors for people who are really strong in changing and learning, right? Or people who see learning as something that's positive, right? Even if it's hard. Sometimes it feels hard to learn something new, right? But you're looking for new things to learn. And what I love is if we took all the other freshmen, you'd right now, as people are getting their midterm grades, you'd hear a lot of people saying, oh, that teacher, they didn't teach me that, right? Lots of that kind of language, blaming. I don't hear that. Nobody in here saying that, which is fabulous, right? Because you took responsibility for your own learning, for your own self, and your belief that you can change. right? And that's so powerful. That's what we keep talking about, right? What? I know this thing. I know, I'm sorry. We're testing the technology. So it's following me around as I go, and it's scaring these guys. So sorry. I forgot it's even on. So your reflection this week, right? So that's one of your handouts. So we're going to reflect on what this means so far, like we've been doing all along. You're going to respond to that definition. How do you see those in your life? Where is this helping you? Where is it getting in the way? And does your own spider diagram reflect how you see yourself? Now, we're not talking about it in general. Some people keep giving me like a general explanation. Oh, my spider diagram is me. Think about this one in particular, right? Changing and learning. Go back, read what it is. Think about your own life, right? So look at that homework for that piece. Any questions on this? Power to change and learn. Okay, I'm getting out of the way. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, is Andrew Caldwell. Some of you know him as your advisor already, but his big hat on campus is our career counselor. So he has a really important role. Sometimes people see him further along in their academic career when you start to think about getting jobs and internships. But it's really important now to start to think about what you're good at, what you want to do. That's your whole life, right? And so he's going to talk to you about a little bit about what he does. He's going to talk to you about a course he teaches in the spring that can help you figure out what it is you want to do and what you're good at. And then he's going to have a really fun activity for us to do to help us figure that out. So can we welcome Andrew and thank him for his time.
All right, thanks, Suzanne. Thanks, everybody, for inviting me. As Suzanne said, I wear a number of hats on campus. My primary role is as a career services coordinator for our campus. I'm going to try to talk and do this at the same time. Think about getting the controls right and everything. Okay, here we go. So, and I apologize. I know some of you are, I'm your advisor, and we may have not met yet, and even if we have, I may still be working on names. So. We'll probably be meeting in the next couple of weeks because we're getting ready to schedule courses for the spring. The schedule actually came out a little earlier than I expected, so you probably are already thinking about that, and that's a good thing. So it's better to be thinking about it more than too little. But I want to talk a little bit about what we do on the career side with advising and career development. A lot of the we're kind of unique among campuses at Penn State in that there's only a few campuses that have an integrated advising and career development office. So while at Penn State there's a lot of dialogue between what people that work in career services do and a lot of what academic advisors do as far as helping students choose their major and talk about how that relates to career goals and job opportunities and internships. We really kind of take a holistic approach and think about the student from the very beginning when you're coming in during new student orientation, and because we're also working with alumni that maybe graduated 20 years ago and they're coming back to maybe brush up on their resume, talk about a career change, we really have we kind of have a perspective of your career as something that begins probably before you got to college, but it's really making a big transformational shift when you get to college, and it's not something that really ends. It's something that, and it's not really something that has borders within the confines of, where you go to work or where you go to school. It's something that we try to approach in a very, in a very holistic kind of developmental way. So. Talking about changing and learning, actually, I think it was a good segue for a lot of what I have to reflect on. I'm thinking, while Suzanne was talking about the need to change and learn throughout one's life, how important it is for me, even though I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on what I'm doing at my job every day, to be constantly flexible and have to change to, from one student's needs who's maybe struggling in a particular course, trying to figure out if they're going to make their entrance to major requirements, to another situation where I'm going to be doing a mock interview with a student who's getting ready to graduate in the next few months. I have to constantly be flexible and open to what the needs of the student or alum that I'm working with, what their needs are, or the needs of the employer that I'm talking to on the phone that wants to recruit some of our students. So flexibility in and the ability to change and learn new skills and be open to new perspectives over time really is critical in so many aspects of one's life, and it's something that I think about a lot in my daily work. So I'm just going to go through this presentation rather quickly. It's just kind of an overview of the career side of what we do in advising and career development. And then I'll provide a link to it's a Prezi online presentation. There'll be a link to it at the end so that if you want to go back and access some of this and say, oh, what was he talking about? You'll be able to do that. So the key points really on the career side of how we approach career development and advising in career development at Penn State York is we work on major and career exploration, not just for DUS students, but for any student who's looking to make a shift or explore their options as far as changing majors. We work on your typical bread and butter career services stuff like resumes and cover letter reviews, job and internship, networking resources. We also coordinate and provide information on some career fairs. We provide mock interviews so you can kind of practice your interviewing skills. And we also coordinate and organize some of the workshops and provide information on some of the career events at other campuses. So as far as the major and career exploration piece, and that's probably where a lot of you are right now in your career, some of the things that we do, again, I said we advise all DUS students in our office, and that's just me and Jane Emery, who's the Director of Advising and Career Development. But any student that's looking to, maybe you thought you were going to be an engineering major, but you hit Math 140 that first semester and it's a lot more difficult than you anticipated, you can come into our office and we'll talk to you about your options. There's oftentimes there's 160 majors at Penn State. And if you include the options, all the combinations you can make with the minors, there's so many different possibilities. It's not just a straight line, you go do something in engineering or, you're not going to make any money, and that's it. There's a lot of that may sound kind of dramatic and obvious, but there's a lot of language out there in the media when you hear some of those reports that, these are the top 5, best majors, best return on investment majors. That was an article that I saw a couple weeks ago. These are the top 5 majors that give you the best return on your investment. Like it's just some kind of monetary formula. When you go to college, you just, you input the tuition and out comes the salary, and it's as simple as that. We know it's a lot more complicated than that. But, sometimes we're getting messages from a lot of different areas of our life, whether it's parents, whether it's friends, whether it's faculty, whether it's career counselors and advisors, whether it's the media that influence our decisions and how we think about our skills and how our skills relate to the realities of the world. And so what I spend a lot of time doing is trying to help students take that apart and reflect on it in a way that's meaningful so that you can really have a better sense of what your interests and your abilities are and what you really want out of your career, rather than kind of just fitting it into a box of this is what people told me success is. We have career assessments. We'll do kind of a little mini assessment activity a little bit later. But the one that we do in the class that I teach, and that if you come in, whether you're taking my class or not, and you want to take an assessment that'll tell you based on my personality, my interests, my abilities, my values, these are a list of the jobs that would be a good fit for me. And that's just kind of a way of starting the conversation. And so we have a license agreement with myplan.com, so any Penn State York student can go in and complete that assessment. If you take my course, Effective Career Decision Making, which I'll be teaching in the spring, and I've got handouts on that if you want more information on it. It's a 3-credit course that counts as a free elective in most majors. That course, we spend a lot of time on self-assessment and self-awareness at the beginning. The first third of the semester we spend on self-awareness and self-assessment. And the MyPlan assessments are a big piece of that unit. So moving on, we do resume and cover letter reviews. That's either by individual appointments. I'll do classroom presentations. You may end up seeing me again, like if you in English 202. I go into a lot of those classes. If you stay here for one of Penn State York's majors, you may see me yet again talking to, go to our HDFS 401 and our BA 420 class for if you're getting ready for your internship. I'll go in and talk about interview preparation and things like that. And then we also provide information and organize workshops. We had one earlier in this semester, actually, where we had a Penn State alum who works at LinkedIn come in and talk about how this rapidly emerging and rapidly changing social media and networking online, how that's changing career development and changing how employers recruit. So we can give you information on how to use tools like LinkedIn effectively, and how to think about social media more broadly, so that you're not putting things out there that are out there forever, whether you like it or not, that are going to reflect, maybe not as nicely on you as you would like. Okay. And then we provide information on and then manage I manage the Nittany Lion Career Network for our campus. It's basically a job and internship database that's standard across all campuses. At any given time, I think that there's about, last time I checked, about 19,500 something employers registered on Nittany Lion Career Network. It's just a Penn State, student and alumni resource. About 3,800, I think, jobs and internships posted on Nittany Lion Career Network. It's still hit or miss. It's like any other job board, but it's a really good resource, and these employers are looking to recruit Penn State students and alum. And so it's a really good place to at least post your resume and use that as a resource to also connect with alumni career coaches through LionLink, which is a module within Nittany Lion Career Network that basically lists the basic information on a bunch of 700, I checked yesterday, 712, I think, alumni career coaches from Penn State who said, I've graduated, whether it's last year or 20 years ago, and I want to help students if they want to talk to me about what I do, if they want to talk to me about, how to get a job in my field, if they want me to take a look at their resume. They're saying, hey, reach out to me, let's have a conversation. It's a great resource. I have to say, from talking with my colleagues at other campuses, it's rather underutilized. So when we talk about exploring careers, exploring majors, seeing what it's really like from somebody who's working in that field, maybe when you're having the conversation with them on the phone, that's an invaluable resource. And because, I don't know if you've gotten the impression yet, or had anyone told you this explicitly, but Penn State alum are really, really passionate, generally speaking, about helping current Penn State students. You'll find that out in short order if you haven't found that out yet. So I always encourage students to take advantage of that kind of resource to not just necessarily get a job or an internship, but to really just learn about, you've heard this particular field is a really good and solid way to make a living, but how is it in reality? Is that a good match for your values? So maybe one of your values is you want to have a family and have a really solid balance between your work life and your free time, that you have. You don't want to maybe work more than 45 hours a week on a regular basis. But you've watched Law and Order, and you've always been told you're good at writing and reading and arguing, so you think that being a lawyer is definitely the way to go. Well, I had a student in effective career decision making, I think it was last fall, and she was kind of in that same place. She really thought that being a lawyer was the best career for her. So she did an informational interview, which is basically just going and meeting somebody at their place of business and talking with them about what they do. And it was a lawyer here in York, and I think he liked what he did, but a lot of what he shared with her really made her think about what it was that she wanted to do with her life and whether this was really a good fit for her. And he said, you've got to be prepared to work like 60 to 80-hour weeks. So, when you look at going back to what I was saying about the media saying these are the top 5 majors for return on investment. Well, if you're making $70,000 a year, that's a good salary, but that may be a little bit different calculation if you just want to talk about it mathematically. $70,000 a year divided by 80 hours a week is different than 60,000 a year at 45 hours a week. And that's just looking at it monetarily, and I think we should look at it in other ways as well. So that just gives you an idea of how even networking resources can help you explore what majors, careers, values are important to you and what is really a good fit for you as you move forward with your college career. Career fairs, there's tons of them at Penn State. I won't go into too much detail. You can get all the information on our website, and I send out emails regularly as well. But in addition to being a great resource for getting an internship or a job, it's a great way to just learn about a particular field. And so that's something that we're really pretty heavily involved in at Penn State, is coordinating those job fairs. Mock interviews is another thing that we do on a regular basis. You can do them online through InterviewStream, or you can schedule a individual mock interview with either me or with Jane Emery, and we can give you feedback on your interview skills. So we'll just kind of pretend that we're an employer for 20 minutes and we're asking you questions, and you'll pretend that we actually have a job and money to offer you if you do well enough, and we'll give you feedback on how you do. And it's not always the most comfortable thing in the world, I'll say, for the students that are doing it, but it tends to be one of those things that after the fact people say that was really, really helpful, and I didn't realize I was tapping my foot incessantly and things like that. So just think about all these things. This is really, a lot of this is maybe too much information at this point, but as you move forward, think about these as resources that you can tap into. And we also do workshops on a variety of things. We have Career Week every spring at the end of March. And part of Career Week, I'd say the centerpiece of Career Week is on Thursday we have the Career Networking event. I can't remember. It's the last Thursday in March, though, of 2014. And you'll get plenty of notifications about it. But again, when we're talking about exploring majors, exploring careers, finding out what it's really like from people that are doing doing engineering or practicing law on a day-to-day basis, we invite, mostly it's Penn State alum, but we invite professionals from a variety of industries in the area that are really passionate about sharing what they do and talking with students about their career path. And so the networking event is basically, you dress up business casual, but you're not trying to get a job or an internship or anything. You're just trying to learn from somebody who's taking time out of their day over lunch. So you get free lunch, they get free lunch. It's, have good conversation. What more could you ask for on an early spring day? So that's a good opportunity to explore as well and learn a lot about a field. And I do know people that have made really good connections through that event and have ended up getting internships out of it, even though that's not the primary thrust of it. So that kind of gives you an overview of a lot of what we do. And these are some of the resources that you can access for more information. The main Penn State Career Services website, how to get on to InterviewStream, where you can do those mock interviews online. And then the Penn State York Advising and Career Development website as well. We'll have links to this stuff and a lot more. But you can get this presentation at bit.ly/ACDcareer. And that will, again, that'll give you everything that you saw here. So I want to go into a little bit more detail on effective career decision making, the class that I teach in the spring. Like I said, we start out with a unit on self-assessment, where we're really, again, looking at not just your interests, your personality type, and how that fits in with jobs, but what is it that you really want out of a college career. The first day I talk about what is your definition of success. What does that look like to you? And now I always feel like when I ask that question, is this too simple? Is this kind of a silly question to be asking? But some of the feedback that I get on the responses surprises me, and I find it really to be a useful conversation to start a class on career and major exploration. Because how we think about what's waiting for us at the end of our 4 years in college, or how we envision our lives when we've, quote unquote, made it, whatever that means, really does influence a lot of what we do and a lot of the decisions we make. So we spend some time deconstructing our decisions. So one of the assignments the very first assignment actually in the class is to take a decision that you made in the past, maybe the recent past, that you were really happy with the outcome. So maybe a lot of people write about going to college, choosing to go to Penn State. Some people will write about, a difficult decision, like maybe not. There was one student that wrote about having to decide whether to focus more on academics in high school or give up something that she was really involved in athletics. I can't remember whether it was like soccer or volleyball or something like that. And that was a difficult decision. She was happy with the outcome. But it's, again, not just about, summarizing factual information. It's about reflecting on how you make decisions, because your process for making the process that you went through and the people that you listened to and the resources that you consulted when making your decision to come to Penn State, a lot of that process is probably something that you'll be repeating in other aspects of your life. So when we reflect on how we make decisions about other things, it gives us some insight into how maybe we're making decisions about our major and career. Did you have a question?
I do have a question, but one of the things we're talking about in here is building endurance to stay focused and pay attention. And so even with me in the back, people are on their phones, right? So first of all, how is that for the speaker? Right? It's distracting and it's disrespectful. So I hate this. So let's do something constructive, because I need to point it out, and you can think about it. So take 30 seconds. There's something you've got to check. Go do it right now. You got 30 seconds. Go. And then I want everybody's attention. We're building that muscle to pay attention and stay focused. So go.